Good morning, everybody! Welcome to the Morning Buzz. Wacky, wavy, inflatable leg,
Arm dude.
Morning Buzz. Morning Buzz host. I'm George Jamgochian. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, and I'm your co-host, Leslie Gallagher. And wow, I am just realizing, guys, we are more than halfway through June.
Oh,
When
please
and
don't
how
say
did
that.
happen? Because I didn't realize that until we wrote it.
That's now that you pointed out on the script, that is mildly concerning.
Mm-hmm.
Time flies, man.
You know how they say, like, time flies when you're having fun? I guess time flies in quarantine. Like,
time flies in quarantine. It has been several months of quarantine, and it hasn't quite felt like it, at least for me.
I think it's because every day is the same, and we don't realize how much time is actually passing.
I think so.
And I think the only way I can tell is because I do this show once a week. So if I can count, like, oh, I've done this show for the past however many weeks, I haven't actually counted. But I'm like,
see, I joined the show to help run it almost every day. So for me, it all just blends together. I blink and I'm like, it's Wednesday again. The news, which we will be bringing you.
Yeah. Alrighty. So today, our news for today, Tuesday. Wait, sorry, it's Wednesday. Oh my God, sorry. I'm just like so shocked that it's so late in the year. Anyways,
it's okay.
Today we'll be talking about our favorite diner closing, some protest aftermath, and Netflix expanding its diversity, and more. But first, here's Ryan Trick with his newscast.
Thank you, Leslie and George. Well, first off, in international news, China has raised its emergency warning to its second highest level and canceled more than 60% of the flights to Beijing this morning as they are hit with a vicious second wave of COVID-19 cases. This is a sharp pullback for the nation as they had declared victory over the virus back in March. The country has canceled more than 1,200 flights due to this new outbreak. New infections have also spiked in India, Iran, and several U.S. states like Florida, Texas, and Arizona. Honduras president has tested positive for COVID-19, and in Russia, state media released a video of new disinfectant spray tunnels leading to Vladimir Putin's residence. CNN is reporting that everyone is tested prior to meeting with Putin, and they have to go through a tunnel with fine disinfectant mist. As of today, more than 550,000 people have tested positive for COVID-19 in Russia. Russia has reported a very low official mortality rate, which has led to accusations of a cover-up by doctors. In New Jersey news, after 3 months of coronavirus lockdown, summer is fast approaching and family favorite summer activities are slowly coming back. Well, Tiger King fans rejoice. The Turtleback Zoo in West Orange, New Jersey will be reopening tomorrow morning with a number of restrictions following CDC guidelines. Unfortunately for our Shark Week lovers out there, New Jersey aquariums, including Adventure Aquarium in Camden and Jenkinson's Aquarium in Point Pleasant Beach, will remain closed until Stage 3. And the iconic breakfast brand Aunt Jemima has elected to rebrand and change its name after 130 years. The parent company Quaker announced this morning the company recognizes that, quote, Aunt Jemima's origins are based on a racial stereotype, end quote, initially featuring a black woman dressed as Mammy type. In recent years, Quaker removed the mammy kerchief from the character to alleviate the perpetuated racist stereotype, but Quaker said that removing the image and name altogether is part of an effort by the company, quote, to make progress towards racial equality, end quote. Now, before we get on to the weather, I don't know about those tunnels, but breathing in disinfectants is slightly concerning to me. Thankfully, it is a beautiful day outside, though, with no disinfectant mists in the air, as far as I am concerned. Over here in Bernardsville, New Jersey, it is a beautiful 70 degrees outside. Today, we're going to have a high of 79 and a low of 59 degrees with a 0% chance of rain. As of tomorrow, we got a 20% chance of rain with a high of 81 and a low of 63. And then on Friday, you might want to break out your umbrellas. There is an 80% chance of rain with a high of 82 and a low of 63. That is all for today's weather and news. Back to you, Leslie and George.
Wow, thank you, Ryan. I don't know about you guys. It feels really like cool today because it's cold in my house. I'm wearing a full long sleeve sweatshirt and sweatpants. Like, it's that cold.
Yeah. I
Anyone else?
wish it was cold in my room. My room actually gets pretty hot,
Oh,
but well.
we don't have the air running. Like it's just cool inside.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing because like every time I feel hot, like I'll turn the fan on, but then when I start feeling cold and then I'll turn the fan off. So it's just like I don't know where to lie. So
I always have like a sweatshirt near in case I get cold and then I get too hot.
mm-hmm.
And it's a weird time for
Very
weather.
weird time. But
Yeah.
given that speaking of weird times, if you're a Montclair State student like us, then you're probably familiar with the Six Brothers Diner right outside the Route 46 entrance. Yesterday, however, the owners of the long-standing Little Falls Diner announced on the business's Facebook page that it is permanently closed. After years of struggles because of an ongoing construction project and more restrictions brought on by the coronavirus, they said, quote, "It is with a heavy heart that we announce the permanent closing of Six Brothers Diner after over 20 years of proud service to our community. We will be forever grateful to our customers for their support and allowing us to be a part of so many special memories." End quote.
The eatery previously said on social media that it was closing its doors on March 19th due to the restrictions placed on the restaurants because of COVID-19, but no other messages were posted until yesterday's closure announcement. Owner George Stilianu commented, quote, "COVID-19 was the final punch," end quote.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, I remember going here on last year's college radio day, with AJ, Steven, Lewis, and a whole bunch of our crew. We sneaked out of the comm building. We piled up in cars and we filled the back corner of the diner. And we had some great experiences there. I remember even coming with my dad after a Jackals game here to that diner. And now those experiences are over.
It's a lot of good memories, which is good.
Is.
I never got to go because I know it's near, Montclair, but I was a freshman this year, as you guys know, and I just didn't make a point of going there, even though so many people recommended it. And now I'm a little mad at myself because now I'll never get to go. And I don't know. It was just, it's sad for me, and I don't know why, because I don't have memories there, but I could have if I had, actually gone, which I was told to. But anyway, Ryan, were you going to say something? You look devastated.
Yeah, I am devastated. I'm a huge, for those listeners who know me, I'm a huge, huge fan of small business. Ever since I was in high school, I would support my small businesses getting breakfast and whatnot. And I love with every ounce of myself New Jersey diners. It is a huge New Jersey thing. For those of you who aren't New Jersey, I mean, diners are like not just a staple here. I mean, they're like a cornerstone of New Jersey culture. And, personally, my friends and I find that one of the best parts about being a college kid in New Jersey is staying up late writing a paper, looking at the time, seeing it's about 12:30 at night, and just saying, hey, let's all pile up in a car, find a diner somewhere, and just grab a slice of pie, a cup of coffee, and just take a break. And Six Bros was one of those kinds of places. And it's just horrible to see this, but we were talking about this story a little bit beforehand, and I do really hope that a good restaurant comes in to replace it, because this is right next to our campus. I mean, if you've never been to Montclair State, from the Village, which is the apartments on campus, it's a walk. From everything else, it is like a not even 2-minute drive. It is very close. So I'm sad that, it's closed, but I am hopeful that maybe a good place will come in and replace it.
Yeah, totally. And also, I am a huge fan of diners too. I remember watching Anthony Bourdain's episode of Parts Unknown in New Jersey, as well as the show No Reservations in New Jersey. And there was also in case you're interested for the time being, there's a diner that is just on Route 46 called the Park West Diner, which is in Little Falls, and might be a good alternative. You never know. Diners, I can't stress this enough. It is a New Jersey staple. It is a New Jersey. It's policy. You have to go to a diner in New Jersey like once in your life.
It's true. You do.
Yeah.
Or for us,
I'm pretty sure it might be a federal law in the works that you have to visit New Jersey diners if you live in New Jersey. Don't take my word on it. If not, it should be. It is like that big of a cultural staple here.
Can I tell a funny story?
Hmm?
Can I tell a funny story?
Yeah.
It's really short, I promise. Okay. So I grew up in New Jersey. Of course, best place on earth. So, and I was raised Catholic. So, like, you know, like every Sunday we would go, you know, to church. And then right after we'd always go to a diner. And that was like how I grew up. And even when we weren't going to church, we would sometimes go to a diner for like dinner or just whatever. So diners were a very normal thing, right? And at some point when we were on vacation somewhere, my family was like struggling to find a place to eat. And I was like, well, why don't we just go to like the nearest diner? And we were in a different state. I don't know where we were, maybe like Connecticut or like Maryland or something like that. And my mom was like, sweetie, diners are a New Jersey thing.
Yeah.
I was like mind blown because I was like, they don't have these awesome places everywhere. Like, what?
Yeah,
all day, wherever I want, whenever I want. What? I was so confused.
I've lived in many different states throughout my life. I've traveled a lot, and I mean, like, I really have never seen a state or an area, really, period, with as many diners. And the cool thing about a diner is it's like you can go there for anything. I mean, you could go there for breakfast at like 9 o'clock at night. You could go there for a turkey club at, like 8 in the morning. I mean, it's just, hey, here's a menu of food, just whatever you want. And I mean, like, I loved going to, there is this one diner in my town too. And I mean, just like you, I grew up, going to diners, and I had lived in this town all throughout my high school career. And I would always wake up super early in the morning because I've always had trouble sleeping. So if I ever woke up really, really early, I would actually, on my walk to school, stop by this diner. It's like a hole in the wall place called the Coffee Shop. And I would literally just walk in as they were opening and just talk with these like just awesome blue collar guys who had been going to that diner probably ever since it opened, over 50 years ago. And just talk with them and sit and have like a plate of like greasy eggs and pancakes, and it's a cup of like okay coffee, but it's great because it's 6:30 in the morning. I mean, that's the kind of place a diner is. And it's not a restaurant, it's like an experience. So
oh yeah, it's just
the atmosphere. They're so warm.
Yeah.
And there's baked goods everywhere. It makes you feel
there are a weird amount of baked goods at diners. They always seem to be there. I've never seen people buy them except for me, but they always change out every day. It's a weird experience. Going to a diner, if you've never been there, I recommend doing it maybe at like 12 o'clock at night, because you feel like you're walking into an episode of The Twilight Zone, but like in a really good way. It's a great experience.
I think the 3 ways to experience a diner are: number 1, go to breakfast there, order a bunch of pancakes. Number 2, maybe go there for lunch. And number 3, go there not even when it's at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, but at like 1 o'clock in the morning if it's a 24-hour diner.
Super late at night, slice of pie, cup of coffee, call it a night. Go with some friends. That's like the New Jersey diner experience,
Yeah. And even the Rolling Stones, one of the greatest bands of all time, they went to the TikTok diner in Clifton. I'm pretty sure that's where it is. With the whole Taylor Ham pork roll commentary right in the middle of the Giants Stadium, like
on their way to performing at a game. Yeah. And I mean, diners are just that epic.
Yeah, we went to a diner, everybody. How you doing? Yeah, we like to Taylor Hams and everything that's right there. That
was a weirdly accurate Mick Jagger impression, and I don't know how I feel about it.
I don't know. I'm trying to do the moves, like,
yeah. He's got the moves like Jagger, ladies and gentlemen. George Jamgochin. Yeah. I mean, and with that story too, I think like half the stadium freaked out when he called it Taylor Ham.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, South Jersey, whatever.
Yeah, MetLife is in Rutherford or East Rutherford, so North Jersey crowd represent. Hello.
Hey. Yeah.
You're in North Jersey, Ryan?
I'm in. Look,
I thought you were in Central Jersey.
I'm in. Is there a Central Jersey?
Yes, there is.
All right. we're not going to get into that debate right now.
We went from like reminiscing good Jersey Diner memories to like arguing about stupid Jersey things.
It's okay. Is it Taylor ham or pork roll? The answer is yes. It's the brand name and then the specificity of the product, whatever. I'm not going to get into that.
All we need to agree on is that it tastes good in a bagel sandwich.
It's true. And you could always get those good bagel sandwiches at a diner. It will be sad to see this diner go. But
on to more sad news.
On to more sad news. It's bittersweet news, I think.
Yes.
You know, it's bitter because it's gone. It's sweet because I'm hopeful that it'll come back. Or something like that will come back.
True. This next story, though, is actually sad.
This is
no bittersweet about it.
Nothing bittersweet about this one.
Alrighty. Anyways, so there's a journalist that is suing Minneapolis due to partial blindness while covering protests. Linda Tirado is a freelance journalist who was covering a Minneapolis protest a few weeks ago, and she was blinded in one eye. There's some new photos released that happened right before the event that she captured, and they seem to show a police officer aiming a foam bullet gun right at her. Shortly after, Tirado was hit in the face with a foam bullet, which broke the goggles she was wearing and left her permanently blind in one eye. Tirado stated, quote, "There were protesters behind me, police in front of me, but you can see from the clarity of the photo that there wasn't gas around us. There's no way they could have mistaken me. I had a professional camera and for anything but working press," end quote.
Tirado is now suing the city of Minneapolis, its police chief, and others over her injury. Tirado is just one of hundreds of journalists who have been assaulted, arrested, or harassed while covering the nationwide demonstrations over the death of George Floyd at the hands of police. Like in Tirado's case, many such attacks have been carried out by law enforcement, according to the U.S. Press Freedom Tracker, a nonprofit organization that tracks incidents of violence against journalists covering the protests. The Press Freedom Tracker has verified more than 400 such incidents across 60 cities. Freedom of the Press Foundation Advocacy Director Parker Higgins said, quote, "Journalists have a clear First Amendment right to cover public events," end quote. Tai-Heng Cheng, an attorney with Sidley Austin, who took on Tirado's case pro bono, said the case will have important implications not just for Tirado, but also for all journalists working to deliver reports on the American public for the ground amid the demonstrations. Cheng said, quote, "The U.S. Constitution is clear. You simply do not shoot journalists covering civil protests. It is fundamentally un-American. We brought this lawsuit for Linda because we think it's really important to establish that principle," end quote.
Tirado pointed out that freelance journalists, which have likely grown in number as permanent newsrooms jobs disappear, take on additional risks when covering protests because they don't have the protections such as healthcare from an employer. Tirado said, quote, "As a freelancer without the protections of a press desk and the attorneys that would come with a network or news or a network, freelancers are certainly left to themselves. I'm definitely going to be looking at surgery bills for the next few months. I just got the first bills rolling in and they're pretty big, so we'll see how this goes," end quote. She said she's now grappling with what the future of her work will be like after recovering from her injury, but she is certain she will continue working. Tirado continued, quote, "I think the nature of my work is going to have to substantially change, given that I'm a frontline journalist, and it's a question of how I'm going to heal up and whether I'll be able to safely go on location. But yes, I'm still going to keep working. There's absolutely no way this stops me," end quote.
Yeah, this is
wow.
This is our industry. So I don't know about you guys. This hits kind of close home to me. I have family, friends who are journalists. I know people at the station who are journalists. I'm friends with people in my classes who are going into journalism, and this is a rough time. According to a new report by an international press freedom organization, the United States has become a less safe place for journalists, and the threats they're facing are becoming the standard for the career, which, I mean, just shouldn't be the case, I think. It is, obviously, journalism is not, just in general, usually not the safest job, depending on where you go into. Obviously, war journalism, thank God for the people who go overseas to do war journalism, because it's necessary and it's super dangerous. But it's like, why are we seeing the dangers of, like, that journalists see when they go into war zones? Why are we seeing that here in the U.S.? Covering a protest, like, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I mean, straight up, I thought, like, I never would have thought I'd see this happen in America. I've seen it happen in other foreign countries. I've seen it happen in Israel, Palestine, Hong Kong. But seeing journalists attacked, like, it shows that America is still vulnerable. So.
Yeah. I know Sam, I believe Sam Scarliner, he was, we had him on the Buzz a few weeks ago, and interviewed him about, he covered one of the protests, and he commented on it too. It's like, this is becoming journalism's becoming a more dangerous job. The report that I mentioned also pointed a finger at President Trump, who, it said, exacerbates press freedom problems with his repeated declarations that journalists are, quote, an enemy of the American people, end quote, and his accusations of everybody's favorite word, fake news, his calls to revoke broadcasting licenses, and his efforts to block specific outlets from access to the White House. And, the accusations of the fake news have just, like, led to exponential increases in prison journalists. 2016 actually showed that 9 journalists were imprisoned on false news charges worldwide, which is according to the CPJ, and that number rose to 28 in 2018. It's people are going to prison for doing their job, and people are getting their eyes shot out for doing their job, and they're just trying to deliver the news. Like, and these are literally people like us. I mean, we're in college radio, yeah, but people who are on the Morning Buzz 2-3 years from now very well might be reporting, probably will be reporting on these huge news outlets. And it's like, I don't want to see this to people I go to class with, to people I have lunch with. Why is this happening?
Like, you think about it, and like, this woman who's now blinded in one eye, probably like 10 or however many years ago, is in the same position we are now. That's kind of scary to think about, because like, that's...
And as a journalist too, like, I've done photography for a long, long time, and like, look, doing photography with one eye, yeah, sure, people are like, oh, well, you hold the camera up to one eye. No, you need depth perception, which comes from both eyes, to take photos well. Mm-hmm. So being able, and especially if, I don't know which eye, this is going to sound weird, but which eye was her dominant eye, depending on how you take photos, you use certain eyes to hold up to the lens. If that was her, one of her dominant eyes, I mean, that's terrible. It's going to make her photojournalism job way harder.
I think it was her left eye, I think, from the video that I watched. And I don't know which one's her dominant eye, but I think most people use their right eye, but I don't.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
It's just,
it's sickening. It's frightening. We have plenty of friends, not only from the radio station, but from the communication school, who've since graduated and moved on to attain jobs as journalists. And seeing something like this occur with people who could be your friends, it's a sharp reminder that the press can be attacked and disrespected no matter which country you're reporting for or in. So I don't want this to happen to you, Ryan. I don't want this to happen to you, Leslie. I don't want this to happen to anybody.
Yeah.
You guys are my people.
You're my people, George. Like, it's, it's stuff like this where, we really start to see these protests aren't just affecting the people who are protesting. It's not just affecting the police officers, and it's not just affecting the businesses that are getting, harassed and, looted. It's literally affecting everybody around the protests, coming from both sides. And it's like, this woman's just trying to do her job.
And it's also like what she said in the article is like that they clearly saw that she was a reporter. Like,
it's very hard to mistake a reporter for a protester.
And then they pointed at her and shot her anyway. And it's like, well, like, why? Like, it's like they're trying to like distract her from like literally doing her job. And then she becomes the news source. Like now we're talking about her when she normally be the reporter. Reporters aren't. You see how like this is like crazy. Like I'm like having a hard time explaining it. Like,
it is. It's hard to talk about. But I think the best part about this is she is saying like this isn't going to stop her from doing her job. So for anybody who's out there who might not be a fan of reporters reporting on this kind of stuff, I mean, like, look, we're stubborn people. Hate to break it to you, but I'm glad to see that she just came out and say, like, I'm going to keep doing my job because you just have to, like, you can't let things like this stop you, I think, in our field. But it is a shame that, she did admit, and, medical bills are expensive. She's going to be seeing them for a long time. We do have a video, actually, playing right now of people being shot with what is it, rubber bullets?
Yeah.
Police in riot gear. For any visuals that, if you are interested in any visuals that we do show on the Buzz, you can always check us out on YouTube after the show, or tune in live on Facebook. But,
and you can see our beautiful faces.
Yeah, but it's just hard to see this. I just hope this doesn't continue. Really, I do.
Like an attack on journalism is an attack on the First Amendment, practically. So
exactly, there's literally there's no better way to put it.
Their job is to get information for the public. Our job too, and it's meant to report it honestly and give it back to people so that people who aren't there know what's going on. And the fact that police are trying to stop that, well, what does that really say? I don't know. Interpret that as your own, but it doesn't look good to me.
Yeah.
Right. And the Americas, I mean, they experienced the greatest press freedom corrosion in the world, according to the index, from attacks and protests in Brazil to coordinated killings in Mexico and Norway. I mean, they ranked as the safest country for the third year in a row now, followed by Finland. So straight up, I mean, America's got some explaining to do.
Yeah. And our alumni, Madison Glassman, is reporting at WAVY News in Virginia. She's already out there. I mean, it's literally people go straight from this station out into this world, and it would just break my heart to see like somebody's, one of their first assignments going to report on these, and because we just had a bunch of people graduate.
True.
even if not from the station, from the School of Comm. And
scary. It's scary.
It is. It's scary.
I mean, how can you even prepare yourself? Because you're not really. I mean, you're taught in classes how to do a stand-up interview and how to, sound on tape and not sound, but you're never taught. Okay, once you get into if you're covering a riot, you got to wear a face mask and you got to be really careful of the rubber bullets, because you don't prepare yourself for that. You don't experience it.
I think, and you're right, George. I think that hopefully we will see in our classes in college more professors, preparing people for the hard, honest parts of the job, where it's like, look, you might be given a job where you have to go cover a protest, and you need to be prepared to go and do that and, risk your safety for your job. Like, I think people need to understand that, yeah, journalism and reporting, it can be fun. You can do fun stories. We do fun stories all the time here on the Buzz. We have a great time with it. I don't know about you guys. I love what I do. I love it to death. I want to do it for the rest of my life. But it's also, I'm aware that these kinds of things happen. And I think, it's important that people know that journalism isn't all just fun and games. Yeah, we have whole lots of fun here at WMSC, but things like this can also happen. And I just pray that it never happens to anybody here, never happens to just anybody else, any other journalist, period. Because that's horrible. Losing an eye when your whole job is to see things and report on things, kind of important.
Yeah. And she was also wearing eye protection.
Yeah, it blew right through her glasses.
Yeah, and it's like,
whoa, seriously? It's crazy. Craziness.
I'm over it. Why are we using rubber bullets in the first place? It's really
well,
pathetic.
that's a discussion for a different time. Yeah.
I know. Oh God, we got a lot. There's a lot, like you said, like with America, there's a lot of issues to address.
There is a lot of issues. Yeah, but I guess, speaking of, issues to address, George, take it away.
All right. Yeah, sure. So New Jersey will name cops who commit serious violations in major new directive by state attorney general. So in a remarkable turnaround for a state that has long protected the records of cops, the Attorney General Gerbier S. Grewal of Monday ordered all law enforcement agencies in New Jersey to begin publicly identifying officers who have committed serious disciplinary violations. Until now, the identities of officers subject to discipline have generally not been disclosed to the public unless they face criminal charges. So straight up, I mean, it's a step forward. It's a step forward in the face of a time where police brutality is still an issue that we deal with.
Yeah.
I think it'll really help society, because if they're never called out on what they do, their crimes are never publicized, people don't know, and they're never held accountable. And if they know that they're going to be held accountable, the idea is hopefully that they'll do it less. But basically, I think it's good that they're being treated like everyone else, and not being sort of put on a pedestal, I don't know, that's just, but they should be treated like everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird subject, I think. There's kind of no other way I can put it. It's weird because obviously, for lack of coating this story with sugar, I mean, there are cops out there who deserve, public disciplinary action, but don't get it. They get it swept under the rug for one reason or another. That's just how the world works. Hate to break it to you, everybody who watches like NCIS, or whatever. It's, there's not always a happy ending. That's a lot of times it's like, hey, some things just get swept under the rug and we don't hear about it. Or things just aren't made public, and they're put on a temporary vacational leave for like a few weeks, and then they come back.
And you don't even hear about that if you're like a regular citizen. Like you would have no idea.
You have no idea. And I think it's, part of me says this is a really good thing that this is going to start happening. We talked about, I believe it was about a week ago now, we discussed, it's going to kill me, I forget which city, I believe it's a city in Texas now, implemented a law where police officers are now required to step in if they see another police officer using like unjustified or unnecessary force. And I feel like this is almost stemming off of that, where it's like, look, the police are important and disciplining them can be really tricky. But I think this is probably one of the best ways to go about it, is like, sometimes you just got to own up to it. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I was taught that as a kid. If you screw up, admit it. Admit you messed up,
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. And I think now for some of these cops who it might start coming out like, oh, they used unnecessary force, or they had this or that and it got swept under the rug, it's not going to look as good, which is a shame, because they might be good people who just screwed up, but it's like, come on, you just got to admit you screwed up.
Yeah. And like, how are you going to draw the line between good people who do bad things and bad people who do good things? Like,
yeah, it's true.
I feel like now that it'll be like more information like this would be public. And also, this is only a New Jersey law that we're talking about, not like...
Yeah, this is just in New Jersey.
This is just New Jersey. But now that we will know more, ideally, hopefully, if they, keep this up, then we can actually make our own judgments instead of being told an opinion as a fact. And what was I going to say? I was about to say something else. And because this is like, I don't know, like, is anyone else skeptical that they're like saying that they're going to make this information more public, but they actually like won't, or they'll make it sound better than it is? Like, does anyone else
I am skeptical. I'm hoping that when they come out with it, they don't sugarcoat it and just justify saying, yeah, we did come out about it, but they didn't give all the real nitty gritty details. Now, again, I don't think in every case, police officers should be like publicly disciplined for screwing up. It depends on the person, it depends on the case, and obviously, in my opinion, 9 times out of 10, yeah, it should result in disciplinary action. But sometimes people just mess up, and if it's a minor mistake, those, in my opinion, might be the cases where, maybe cut them some slack. And being a police officer is like, or just a member of any law enforcement. I mean, really, it's a dangerous job. We talked about journalism being dangerous. Dude,
put your life on the line.
Especially in times like this, police officers' jobs make journalism jobs right now, they make them look safe, comparatively speaking. I mean, it's like being a police officer, it could be a dangerous job.
Given that, because if you're a police officer, you don't know if you're going to come home every day. And it's a really, really tough job.
Yeah. I mean,
you're facing crime every day, and that's the job. And some days are more dangerous than others. I think it's like one of those things where you literally don't know what's in store for that day.
Yeah.
But that said, I think we will see some good come out of this. As rough as it may be on some people, I think hopefully we will see some good come out of this. But
anyways, so we have I know that yesterday we talked a little bit about this. Well, not we, but like the Morning Buzz, other people.
Our friends from
the show must go on just a little bit later than initially planned. So the 2021 Oscars will go on, just not on February 28th. And like I said, we briefly touched upon this yesterday. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced on Monday that the 93rd Academy Awards telecast has been postponed by 2 months to April 25th, 2021. And this is the fourth time that the Oscars have been postponed in its history. They were first delayed in 1938 after a massive flooding in Los Angeles. And then in 1968, they were put on hold after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and again in 1981 following an assassination attempt on President Ronald Reagan.
The Academy also announced that the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, which has been set up to open in December 2020, will now open on April 2021. ABC and producers have not said how the delay or ongoing coronavirus mitigation recommendations would impact the format of the actual broadcast. They are on the same boat as everyone else in the industry. This pandemic is a cause of much uncertainty. And Carrie Burke, president of ABC Entertainment, said, quote, "We find ourselves in uncharted territory this year, and we will continue to work with our partners at the Academy to ensure next year's show is a safe celebratory event that also captures the excitement of the opening of the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures," end quote.
The Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, which had been set to open in December 2020, will open in April 2021. The adjustments to the 2021 ceremony come roughly 3 months after the spread of the coronavirus began taking hold in the United States and the rest of the globe, disrupting every corner of life, including the entertainment industry. Since then, almost every aspect of film and television production has been delayed or had to be reimagined, from film releases to film festivals and everything else. But wow.
Yeah.
I mean, film and television, as we know, I mean, like, if you're someone who doesn't know a lot about this stuff, you see like new stuff being released the past few months in quarantine, you're like, oh, everything's normal. But that's because all of those productions were already in post-production. They'd already finished filming. They were already editing it. Like, they were already ready to be released. Like, everything has a release date. Like, when you start a project,
it has, if not an exact date, it has like a general idea of when it's going to come out. And then as you get through it, it's like, okay, it will come out not just summer 2020, it'll come out, whatever, July,
Why? Yeah,
like
like
20th-ish, 2020, and then you finalize the date.
yeah, like they plan around when they're going to release things, and like no one planned for the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So like they had no idea that they would be releasing things during these times, and things that would normally be filmed right now, things that were scheduled to film or things that had to stop midway, they won't be released on time because they couldn't finish filming because a lot of people are in those cast and crews. So at some point, people not getting back to filming, which I don't think any companies have started doing that, I'm not really sure. We won't, like, in a few months we won't see new stuff coming out anymore because it won't be ready, like it won't be there, like it's just unfinished stuff. So that's why they have to push the Oscars off, because new stuff isn't being made right now, it's being put on hold no matter where it was in the project.
Yeah, and it's weird. We touched on this a little bit before the show, and I told you guys a story where I was watching, I think it was like the Food Network with my dad last night, and I believe it was a movie called The Hunt. There was a trailer for it. Just saw it during a commercial break, and it was so weird to me because the end, normally it says, in theaters whatever day, right? That's like, we grew up seeing that at the movies, seeing that on TV, whatever. It's like coming to theaters near you, or in theaters this day. And it didn't say that at the end of it. It said something like you know home premiere or something like that, like home premiere this day, set your, or it's like find it on demand.
Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, I'm like, break out the microwave popcorn, I guess. Like, it's weird to see that. But like, we've been seeing this develop, like, over this course. I don't know about you guys, but I have actually found that that's one of the only movie, like, trailers that I've seen come out in a while, because I think a lot of companies were hoping, like, maybe theaters will start reopening soon. Maybe we can push it back a month, whatever.
They thought.
But yeah, they thought, and I think a lot of companies now are probably just going to be like, we just got to go for it. We just got to cross our fingers for the home release, which is just weird to me because I can't imagine, I don't know, setting like a Google Calendar saying like, oh, right, this movie comes out on demand today. It's like, it's weird. Yeah, let me throw in some popcorn and get some Raisinets on Amazon. Like, I don't get it. It's weird, but it's like that's the world we live in now, Like, we talked about before, Onward. That was in theaters, and then the second quarantine hit, Disney was like, we're not even gonna try. Boom, it's on Disney Plus now, and everyone was like, oh, that's convenient, you know.
I miss the days where, and I'm an old person, so I remember the days when you go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video and you get your popcorn and your soda and your candy, all with the movie, and then you sit down and you have a family movie night.
Some of my favorite
that was my
memories with my
childhood.
mom. Yep, some of my favorite memories with my mom were her and I driving down to the local, like, Blockbuster in our town, before they all closed pretty much, and doing that exact same thing. They always had the candy, like, when you go to, like, checkout or whatever. So, like,
Yeah,
as you're waiting for, like, the rental or whatever, you look and you get the candies and whatnot. Yeah,
totally.
absolutely. And it's like, and we're seeing such a weird shift in the movie industry right now. But also we're seeing, these kind of slightly off topic, we're seeing drive-in theaters come up
Yeah.
now. I
I was
recently
about to bring that up.
saw, a little while back, I went to a drive-in theater with my girlfriend, and we saw, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, because why not? I mean, like, come on. But it was cool. I mean, here's the thing. It was 2 hours away. We made a 2-hour drive to see this movie, to see Sonic the Hedgehog. Not like the Titanic, not some Oscar-winning thing. I'm talking like, this is Sonic we're talking about here. 2 hours. We finished the movie at like 10:30 p.m. and had to drive back. That'll give you some perspective on how bad we wanted to go see a movie. But
You're crazy.
yeah, well, I don't sleep anyways. But the point is, it was interesting because it felt like good, and it felt like some semblance of normality. And I don't know, just seeing that trailer last night where it said like set your home, reminder or whatever, like coming to your, on demand, near you this day or whatever. It's like it just felt weird to me because I'm like,
It's just
I
cracking
think
me up.
people don't like, let's be honest, people are getting tired of staying inside and doing things inside all the time. We're seeing it with the protests. We're seeing it with quarantine fatigue. We're seeing it with cases spiking again. It's like people are sick of being inside. And I think one thing, at least I miss, people who are in the School of Common in the entertainment industry, we miss movies, dude. That's a
Yeah,
huge thing. We used to talk about movies all the time on the Morning Buzz,
totally.
and it's like there's
Yeah.
nothing out because we can't go see them.
You
It's
know, I
oh,
think we should have, since we have a screening room in the School of Com on the bottom floor. I'm talking about the basement of the School of
yeah,
Com.
it's weird. It's Cool Com has like a weird underground layer where there are like two classrooms and a screening room.
Yeah, we
Like a real
honestly, I think that's what we should. We the radio station. We should all have a movie night where we all go down there. We sneak in there. Don't tell anyone, but I'm telling it right now, and it's gonna be out. So
Don't listen,
we
anybody
won't tell them
listening.
wait,
Keep
what
it
are you
on the
talking about?
DL, winky face.
But
But
yeah,
I yeah, it's weird to see like the entertainment industry is like, and we heard about this to start the quarantine a month or so in. We heard about we heard about movie theaters and whatnot. Like, yeah, movie theaters are going to struggle, and we're still seeing movie theaters are kind of struggling. Because they're a movie theater. The business idea of a movie theater is like a really fine line between a success and a failure. I mean, they literally make, I think it's like no money on tickets. They make most of their money on concessions. So the fact that not only are they not selling tickets, but that you're trying to upkeep, an entire huge building, all that maintenance, all the, utilities, whatever, you're trying to upkeep that with zero income. Um, that's rough on movie theaters and on the movie theater industry.
They're gonna have
But
a hard time coming back from this.
yeah, they are, I think. And I think obviously we saw like all kinds of news on that, starting off the quarantine, but now it's like we're not just seeing news come out about movie theaters struggling, we're just seeing the whole entertainment industry struggling. So, I mean, look, I'll be honest. I don't even really watch the Oscars anymore. I find them kind of weird. And personally, I'm a little biased because I'm a huge soundtrack kind of guy, and I always think their best soundtrack picks are off, but that's just me. Rocket Man still should have gotten best soundtrack. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that.
Taron Egerton wasn't even nominated for Best Actor. Neither was
Wasn't.
Adam Sandler.
Anyways.
Adam Sandler should have been nominated for Uncut Gems.
Yes.
What is it?
But I don't know. I think the Oscars are weird, and I think maybe because I think less and less people are watching the Oscars now. At least
Yeah.
from what I've seen in my generation, which you would think would be the people who are normally the ones to really, really tune into the Oscars. I was just starting, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm an outlier. Maybe my friends are just weird, but I have been seeing less people watch the Oscars personally. I don't know. Do you guys still watch the Oscars and like the
No.
award shows and whatnot? I usually watch the music shows, the music award
Yeah,
shows.
I watched the Golden Globes only because Ricky Gervais was hosting, and I wanted to see him put all the political celebrities in their place. But that's just me.
I like after the Oscars is like over and said and done, I'll like look up what movies and who won because
Yeah.
that part interests me, but I don't actually watch it. And maybe it's because I grew up with like no cable and like we didn't have cable, so like I forgot they were a thing, and so I still do. That like live TV is a thing because like I literally didn't. I had it till the age of 9, and then after the age of 9, we didn't have cable, so I forgot it existed.
Interesting.
Because we just like I don't know, like I don't think we used it much, and so we just started watching Netflix like before it was even like a big thing. And yeah, so
That's fair.
I've never actually, I don't think I've ever actually watched the Oscars, and I don't really feel like it either.
Yeah. That's another thing we've been seeing, especially in this generation, and especially now, is people. I think they're called like cable cutters. They say, "Oh, I have a smart TV, and I I watch a lot of Netflix. I'll watch a lot of Hulu. Let me save, X amount of money a month. Just cut cable, upgrade my internet, and get, however many subscriptions to stuff,
Yeah.
And
It's money.
I think personally, if after quarantine, this is just my pitch, my idea. Anybody at the academy, hit me up with this idea. I'll give you the rights to it. But I think people should start maybe imagine being able to live stream the any award ceremony from Hulu or from Netflix. I think more people would watch it.
I would probably consider
right?
it.
Because yeah, imagine you open up Hulu and a pop-up comes and it's tune in live to the Oscars, on Hulu or whatever. And
I would actually
I mean, the only problem is, would it be for free, or would you have to subscribe for it? Because I know with the Oscars, they've been doing it on network TV for a long time, and so you don't, I wouldn't want to subscribe to watch the Oscars. I wouldn't want to watch. I don't want it to be pay-per-view.
Yeah, Annabella just pointed out, actually. Thank you, Annabella. For Hulu, it does pop up if you have their live package, which is again interesting. But it's also the live package of Hulu costs more than the standard Hulu. So I don't know. It's interesting. I hope the Oscars come back. I'll be honest, they are a staple in the entertainment industry. I think they just maybe need to. They almost need a makeover. I think the Academy Awards need to have a little bit of a makeover. They need to make fun of themselves more. At least that's my opinion. I think the best kind of comedy and the best kind of entertainment is where people point out their own flaws. And I think if the Oscars started making them fun of themselves a lot more and almost turned it into a comedy-esque show along with awards, I would watch the heck out of that.
That sounds funny. Yeah. I like that.
It'd be funny, Make it a show. Don't make it a ceremony with all these famous people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be fun if it was more of a show that they put on. And maybe some people will watch it.
Maybe stopping it for a year, or rather postponing it for an entire year, will make them reflect and think about how they can make it better.
Yeah, I think so.
And the good comes of it. But here's a good transition. Speaking of film.
It's a segue.
Thank you. I was thinking about that for a good
learning.
20 minutes. Anyways, Netflix. Literally, we were just talking about this. Netflix is to partner with Nigerian filmmaker in a new major deal. As part of its continued expansion into Africa, American media streaming service and producer Netflix has partnered with Nigerian filmmaker Mo Abudu to create new content from the West African nation. Abudu, who owns a production company, Ebony Life TV, will work with the teams at Netflix to create 2 original series as well as multiple Netflix-branded films. In a statement released Friday, Dorothy Gituba, Netflix's lead for original series in Africa, said the streaming giant is working with Abudu because of her, quote, passion for creating high-quality, riveting, multi-genre films, end quote. Through Ebony Life, Abudu has produced over 5,000 hours of original television shows and top Nollywood films such as 50 and The Wedding Party, which was about $11.5 million in its 2016 release.
The partnership with Netflix will also see on-screen adaptations of literary works by 2 award-winning Nigerian authors, Lola Shoneyin and Wole Soyinka. Gituba said in the statement, quote, "We're thrilled about this first-of-its-kind partnership in Africa that will bring some of Nigeria and Africa's most iconic storytelling to screen. We look forward to supporting Mo as she brings all these diverse Nigerian stories to the world," end quote. Abudu said this partnership is a testament to Netflix's investment in African storytelling. The U.S. media streaming companies first captured the heart of the African audience in 2015 when it paid $12 million for the worldwide distribution rights of Beast of No Nation, starring award-winning actor Idris Elba. In the same year, it started the distribution of Nigerian movies, buying blockbusters like October 1st and 50. In February, the streaming giant announced its presence in Nigeria through a new Twitter account. So, yeah, I mean, this is awesome to see Netflix expanding their game, because now with all the other streaming services pop up, there's competition, and we expected it, but we thought Netflix was the power of the universe. I remember seeing Netflix having Fairly Odd Parents and South Park, and now
Yeah.
everyone's like, hold on, we're gonna bring our own shows into our own streaming services. So
Yeah.
What I really like is that, like, you know, Netflix like does try to like include, you know, voices and content from other countries and other producers that are not American. And like they said, they announced this in February, and so this isn't like new for them. Like they aren't doing this because of all like the recent events and stuff. They're just doing this because that's just like who they are. And like just to go to current events for like 1 second, you know, we see all these companies that are like all of a sudden supporting like Black Lives Matter or LGBTQ plus movements just because of all these things happening.
Yeah.
But then there's the companies that have been supporting them for a long time, like Netflix. Like they've been doing international stuff. So I just want to point that out because it's something I appreciate about them. And, you know, I like watching things from other countries and seeing different perspective, people speaking in different languages. I'd rather watch, you know, a documentary about a crisis in like Mexico or Nigeria or like anything, learning about a different culture or a different way of life than watching like the same American sitcom over and over, like I know some people do.
Yeah.
Who are you pointing out? Who are you talking about, eh?
I think she's looking at us, George.
I know. We'll watch like
Just
Friends.
slowly.
Well,
Like,
I mean, I'm not afraid. Ryan.
Slowly move off camera.
Ryan. Like
I'm
I
binging
like
Rick and Morty again. But no, like I do get what you mean. You know.
I watch the same stuff over and over sometimes. Like I've watched How I Met Your Mother, and I've watched like my favorite episodes, and I've gone back to them. But I think like, but sometimes you want a break from that kind of stuff. You want a break from your regular American dramas or your American comedies to watch something like serious,
Cool, just real. Yeah.
and learn something about the world. Like it's fascinating, and that's why I like documentaries. I know some people don't have the patience to watch documentaries, or they don't want to watch something with subtitles. God forbid it's in another language.
That drives me nuts. I'm sorry. So as someone who watches like an unhealthy amount of anime, I I don't know why subtitles are so ingrained into my head, but I can't wrap my head around people not being able to do subtitles. And I
Some
find
people
that
go
when it
against
comes
it
to international like movies especially, I don't want to watch it in the dubbed over version. I don't want to
because it
watch it in
doesn't
an
feel
English dub because my take on
doesn't
it
feel
is like
real.
those actors, you're essentially just turning those actors into puppets with a voiceover. You know, they're not, showing their raw emotion. It's somebody else's emotion projected onto their acting. And it's just weird to me.
And you can hear the emotion so much better in the original language, even if you have no clue what they're saying.
Yeah.
Like, for example, okay, so I just film class my first semester. Amazing class, by the way. But we would pretty much just watch a movie every class and then discuss it afterwards. And, you know, we were looking at the French New Wave, which is basically like an era when France had like a bunch of like new movies and films, and it was a big thing.
They had the black and white T-shirt and the beret,
Mm-hmm.
And like we were watching this French film, and our teacher was lecturing us saying, oh, okay, so this is the French New Wave, we're going to be watching French films. And then the movie starts playing after his like little lecture, and we're all excited to watch it, like me and my friends, because we're like, yeah, French New Wave, this is so cool. And then like these girls behind us like, we're watching it in French, we have to read subtitles. And like they were like, and me and my friends just looked at each other like,
Come on.
what did you think was going to happen? Like literally, like that was my face, Ryan.
Come on.
I was literally like face palm, like, and they were commenting throughout the entire movie, like, oh my god, subtitles, like, oh my god, French, like, what?
Oh my god, French.
apparently there were the Key Valley girls from the mall from the 1980s that were in the class. They time travel for some reason, but
apparently,
yeah.
But anyway.
Those girls consistently who sat behind us always had something to say about a movie we were watching, and like that day, it just like I was like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, those were the girls that Lindsay Lohan tried to be with in Mean Girls. Is that
Literally?
Exactly.
Regina George was behind me.
I think all in all, like, I don't know, something to take away from this. I think the key, to this whole thing is like, Netflix. They're not trying to lead a company from the American perspective only. And they understand that they understand the need to speak culturally, to each regions of the world and represent. So that's what we are. America's like the melting pot of the world. So I think it's good that we're seeing these big entertainment companies represent.
Yeah, and also I feel like, oh, sorry. One way to experience the world is like traveling, but if you can't travel, a way you can experience the world is through movies. So it's important that they're doing this.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that our show? Is that our show?
think.
Oh my God.
I blinked and it's 11. Ah.
I do this every time.
Thank you all for having me on.
Welcome, Ryan.
Anytime, Ryan. You're always welcome.
Great to have on. We will see you guys. Thank you for tuning into the Morning Buzz here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. We will see you all next time.